Well, this is different. So, how's it been? I know I haven't posted in how long? Let me see. 4 months. Oh, that's a long time. Listen, it's been a rough couple of months, alright? I had to move out twice for college for several reasons. Might make that into a video, but who knows? I'm really bad at promises. So, Fionna and Cake happened. Initially announced all the way back in 2021, expectations were mixed for the series to say the least. For me, I wondered if it would be your typical Fionna and Cake series. Plenty of adventures, reoccurring characters, and maybe some fan service here and there. Those with keen eyes, however, would spot a very different looking Simon and a redesigned Fionna and Cake. What does that entail? Well, at the time we had no idea. In fact, advertising for the show was sparse to say the least, with pretty much all of the advertising coming out like 4 or 5 months before the series release. Usually, a high-profile show like Adventure Time gets a lot more screenshots or posters about it, but we didn't get anything. Even when we got trailers, they were vague, but did show us some pretty crazy stuff. But that's not what we're talking about. The series has already been analyzed to death, and it's rightfully being hailed as not only a worthy successor to Adventure Time, but probably one of the best HBO Max original series released so far. So before you dislike my video, let me explain why it's titled this way. When Adventure Time ended all the way back in 2018, you can tell the staff and many of the voice actors were not done with the series. Sure, the ending was pretty good and wrapped up things in a nice little bow, but there was a clear yearning for more. We got those hints in the Distant Lands miniseries like BMO's origin story and how he got to Ooh, PB and Marcy's relationship in Obsidian finally given the proper spotlight, Finn and Jake's together again making us all collectively cry in our pillows, and Wizard City being an enjoyable romp around, well, Wizard City. The announcement of Fionna and Cake was a bit of a shock since people weren't expecting to see Adventure Time so soon after its cancellation and ending 5 years ago. What was even more shocking about the show was, well, its tone. Its very mature tone. Everything about Fionna and Cake, from the animation, comedy, and dialogue, is not only Adventure Time quality, but taken above with more adult themes and graphic content. But it doesn't get gross like most adult animated shows. It makes sense and isn't excessive in your face. To me, it's more TV-14 than anything else, and an evolution of, you could say, the Adventure Time style. Fionna and Cake feels cathartic to a hardcore fan of the original series. The feeling of growing up with a television show is like no other, and Fionna and Cake capture that essence so well. The writing is smart and impossibly consistent with the rules and events of the original series. The voice acting is strong with excellent performances by everybody across the board. Tom Kenny is always a treat to listen to, and his performance here is probably some of his finest work. The returning cast also does a phenomenal job, and I'm glad that most of them came back to refill their roles, even the original Fionna and Cake. Just goes to show they all love the material. It's too bad Prismo's voice actor couldn't return because of his agent not telling him about the role before they began recording, which is kind of stupid. It's a damn shame, but the replacement VA did a very good job. Oh yeah, and Justin Roiland was replaced. Yeah, you know why. Now, enough waffling around the subject. We have to talk about the title of this video. All I'm asking is to please hear me out before you destroy me. If everything was positive about the show, then where's the discussion, am I right? We don't want a circle jerk now, do we? Now, what is this fatal flaw, you may ask? Well, by the end of the series, which is only 10 episodes, by the way, Fionna and Cake don't really feel like fleshed out or complete characters as they probably should. Now they are real characters and they do have very believable motivations, but by the end of the series, I was left wanting more. Now, Simon on the other hand feels like a fully developed character by the end, because, let's be real, Simon in specifically Adventure Time got very little screen time to be Simon Petrikov. I feel that people get confused between Ice King and Simon because, like the show points out several times, they are not the same people by any stretch of the imagination. Sure, reformed Ice King in the later seasons reflects the more clumsy, nerdy side of Simon, but let's be real, Simon is gone. God, you're gonna get sick of me saying Simon. Don't get me wrong, Simon is still in Ice King, but when he is Ice King, that's it. He's just Ice King. Some people might point out that half Ice Kingified Simon is a genuine Simon too, which is true, but we only spend time with him for like a total of 20 and 30 minutes, and I'm also counting Simon in that, so yeah. And the series is how long? But we still love Simon nonetheless, even though we get to see so little of him. To me, it feels like the creators wanted to create the Simon Petrikov show plus Fionna and Cake, but they needed something more recognizable to advertise the show with. To me at least, Simon steals the show from Fionna and Cake's own growth as characters. Make no mistake, the Fionna and Cake in the original series, no matter how good the episodes were pretty shallow. They just consisted of fun romps that aren't really intended to be anything more until, well, now. we're getting into spoiler territory, so I've given you your warning. If you watch past this and you complain about spoilers, then kill. The first episode was a great introduction to not only Fionna as a character who is very similar to a young Finn, but an alternate Ooh without magic. The next episode was the big shift into Simon's point of view, and then from then on it became the Simon Show. And before the flames burn me alive, that's not a problem. In fact, I love that Simon gets so much development, but Fionna, I feel like, gets set to the wayside a little bit as the episodes followed on. This thought only occurred to me when watching the finale because something felt a bit off between the two endings. Everything wrapped up in a pretty heart-wrenching and bittersweet way for Simon. It felt like a perfect continuation of the Golbetti plot of the original series, but Fionna's ending was lacking. Sure, Fionna and Cake only really exist because of Simon and Prismo, but her development should be more important than that as an independent character. I thought the entire point of the first episode was to build Fionna as somebody who is not just a fanfiction version of Finn, but her own character. Yeah, I know she learns a lesson in the end by letting everybody decide if they want to be magical or not, and give others a freedom she previously selfishly wanted, but nobody in the end takes this opportunity. And yes, I know they established that they might lose their memories, blah blah blah, but to counter that, when Fionna gave everyone the choice to be fantastical and go back to their Adventure Time forms, no one really took it, and it was only Fionna and Cake who actually did. And Fionna kept her memories even though she completely altered her form and became super big, and Cake kept her powers and nothing really changed, so we really don't have any solid evidence to suggest one way or the other, and from a writing standpoint it just feels a bit lazy to not include it. Just imagine how creative you could have been with the final battle. You could have had Marshall Lee in his vampire form helping people escape. You could have Gary make his own little army out of candy people. Hell, you even have Fern in the series as a girl in the bus. You can maybe make her a knight or something. I don't know. The entire message because of this rang a bit hollow. The ending for Fionna was sweet. Too sweet. Hell, even Scarab got a nice job with Prismo. And side tangent, I think Scarab was one of the most boring main villains Adventure Time has ever had. He gets next to nothing. His voice actor and animation are pretty cool, so he gets a slight pass, but I wish there was more to Scarab. And that's what this series definitely needs. More episodes focusing on Fionna, because by the end, she felt like she needed at least one more Fionna-centric episode. In fact, 2 or 3 more episodes would have been perfect, not only for Fionna's arc, but everybody else's. Fionna's entire story throughout the series is her being sort of humbled by constantly failing in each world she gets sent to. It reaches its peak in episode 8 in the complete dead world where she is super depressed, but that entire episode was about Simon. Now I know it served a narrative purpose and it was a super nice moment of maturity for Simon, but damn, wouldn't it have been great for Fionna to have an episode where she can properly reflect on her mistakes and make up with Cake in a less rushed way? The following episodes are way too busy focusing on the ending. It focuses on the Simon and Golbetti plot, the Scarab plot, what's happening in Fionna's world. It leaves very little room for Fionna to actually grow. Again, more episodes would have remedied this issue, and I'm not optimistic about a season 2. I don't blame the writers for this at all. The faults of the series are entirely down to the amount of episodes they were given. A multiverse plot this complex requires more than just 10 episodes. Sure, the extended runtime was good and all, but it's just not enough. There were also a little bit of nitpicks with the finale that I think everybody had, like why the fuck is Little Destiny and Jay in Fionna's world now? Last time we saw them, well, Farm World Finn sorta had an ambiguous death scene. You could argue he's fine because of the hat or we saw no blood. Even so, he left his family behind with a possibly injured father. Does he not realize that his siblings are children who probably will die without a strong caretaker like Farm World Finn? I know I already mentioned this, but nobody has powers except like Cake, which is okay I guess, but I don't know, it just feels like a big missed opportunity. Another big nitpick that I have seen nobody mention was, what did Marceline have to say about all of this? I find it hard for Simon not to at least have one off-screen or on-screen conversation after their phone call in the series finale. I don't know, it just felt like it could have gone a long way for Simon's character. It would have been the complete opposite of their phone call in episode 2 where he blows her off because he doesn't want to worry her. It could finally show us that Simon is getting better and is more willing to trust the people that he loves in his life to take care of him and share his pain. But no, we got Minerva Therapist, which is great, don't get me wrong. Simon in therapy is nothing but gold stars from me. But you know, it would have been great for him to share his struggles with Marceline or maybe even Finn. Okay, maybe not Finn. This is definitely not going to be a very popular video, since there aren't many criticisms of Fionna and Cake so far, since the hype for the series is still pretty fresh, with the series ending about a week ago as of writing the script. Who knows when I'm gonna edit this video. Overall, I just wanted more, and what they definitely delivered is more than enough, but I'm a greedy little goblin who just can't get enough of the world of Adventure Time. So from one fan to another, I love ya. And for the series, even with my criticisms, it still beats Steven Universe by how many miles is it to circle the planet Earth 500 times? Overall, a solid 8.5 out of 10. Should have had more neck.